defense, they limit Buffalo, I should say, to a field goal in the second half. You see more than a 100-yard rushing advantage. Didn't turn the ball over. Afterwards, their head coach, Zach Taylor, sharing a special moment with the squad.
Hey, it doesn't matter what the world thinks. We got a bunch of killers in this locker room, man. You don't care what they throw at you in any way, shape, or form. You just walk on the field and take care of business, and the whole world knows that now. I love you guys. Hey, we talked last night. They had the best home playoff record in the world. It went from 13-1 to 13-2. I love it. We're going to do this again next Sunday on the road at Kansas City. Nowhere else we'd rather be. Nowhere else. Best 7 days of your life. Let's get ready and take it on the road. That's all I got. Who's breaking? Hey, Cam Taylor break. You got to break it down.
Y'all ready? Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? No!
Deeper dive into the numbers. Half-naked men. Just hope you're enjoying that tonight. Cincinnati nearly 200 more yards of offense than they did last week against Baltimore. Shout out to the Ravens, by the way. Joe Mixon, a big part of that first Bengal with over 100 rushing yards in a playoff game since Cedric Benson in 2009. On the other end, the Bengals held the Bills to just 63 rush yards. They don't rush it a bunch. Josh Allen, he was their leading rusher in terms of attempts and yards, averaged nearly 10 per scramble, but Sunday had just 4 scrambles for 17 yards. Without a first down. Meanwhile, Burrow perfect on the road in his playoff career, the 5th quarterback to start 3-0, and the first since Colin Kaepernick. On the road at Arrowhead next week, we're making the first since Jake Delhomme, and the only to go 4-0. Afterwards, Burrow credited his O-line. Remember, that was a big question all week long.
I mean, it was just one of their best games of the year. Rushing, pass blocking. I mean, it might be our most complete game of the season as a team.
You know, we talked about last night, they were 13-1 at home in the playoffs. The best home winning percentage in NFL history. And I wanted to show that to the team because I knew what that would do to them. That wouldn't put fear in them that, oh my God, we're walking into an environment that people don't win in. It was going to be the opposite for our guys. And it was. We're built for this. We're built for this. You know, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about us. We don't care who's favored, who's not. We're built for this, and we're excited to go on the road to Kansas City.
Yeah, you know, they tried to disrespect us with the ticket sales, and, you know, we wasn't having it. You know what I'm saying? We just came out here, prove everybody wrong, and basically step on people's necks, and that's what we're here to do. And we get to our goal. Our ultimate goal is to be at the Super Bowl. We got one more game left to get there.
Disrespect's a powerful motivator in an NFL locker room, Louis Riddick.
In life, man.
Oh, that's a fact. All right, so Orchard Park's a snow globe.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin's in the building. If it's a script, Buffalo's winning this game probably in a walk, right? But it's not a script because Cincinnati built for it, as they said. There's a long list of things that was impressive about what they did, but I'll allow you, whatever direction you'd like to go. What most impressed you?
It's the fact, look, overcoming adversity is a part of the National Football League. It's a part of sports, right? So when you think about it like this, you come into a game like this, into a hostile environment like this, and 3/5 of your offensive line is gone. And what I've been talking about all weekend is the fact that offensive lines really set the tone at this time of year. 3/5 of your offensive line is gone. And you come out and run the football with that kind of authority. You don't let your quarterback get touched. Joe Mixon looks like, he looks like a combination of Ickey Woods, Joe Mixon, and every other great Cincinnati Bengal running back that's ever toted the rock for them. And you play what is arguably your most, well, to me, inarguably your most complete game of the year. That right there stands out to me and says this. It's not just coach speak when Zach Taylor says we're built for this.
No,
that means 1 through 53. We've got depth, man, and we believe. And you know what? Joe Burrow needed to be Joe Cool in this game. Did he ever look flustered? Did he ever look like a guy who wasn't in complete command of the entire situation? And we haven't even talked about the defense, man.
Right.
Lou Anarumo, people listen. I know it's not just about making calls at timely points in a game that gets coaches head coaching opportunities. It's about teaching, developing, correcting, developing relationships. I spent some time with Lou Anarumo on the field before the Super Bowl last year. And that was a guy who I walked away going, if you had a chance to interview somebody for a head coaching job, I'd like to sit down and talk to him a little bit more. And he is showing it on the field with the way he's getting these guys to play. Look at all these young rookies that are playing.
Yeah.
Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah, big-time plays.
It's on Dax Hill. These guys are playing. This team is fun, man.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
They go into Buffalo, and I get the weather, whatever else. They hold them to 10.
Absolutely.
And that's an awfully impressive performance. They've demonstrated that they're built for it, and they've demonstrated it against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They beat them last year in the regular season, went to Arrowhead, beat them again. Beat them in the regular season this year, and they're going to go to Arrowhead again. Now, that obviously plays in the Cincinnati locker room. But Andy Reid's a pretty bright coach.
Sure.
What are he and the Chiefs going to do with that information that they will have gleaned as they've gone head-to-head with this team over the past couple of years and come up short?
You know, having talked to them this year, and talked to Patrick this year in particular, you know, before the Week 18 game against the Raiders, I think in the past, because of the way this offense in particular, since that's really where the focus is going to be, I think once they couldn't get the ball to Tyreek and Travis, if those two things were shut down on this football team, Patrick said himself, I kind of got out of sorts and would start pressing and start trying to do things that are just out of character and out of the context of this offense. I think they know going into this football game, talking about Lou Anarumo, they know this. He's going to try and every smart defensive coordinator is going to try and take away 87 first. Travis Kelce. Why the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't the other day, I have no idea.
That was odd.
Exactly. So I think what they learned and what they gleaned from this is this. They've shown all year long that this is a very multiple offense in terms of who's going to get the football. Patrick says he goes into games he doesn't know. He knows 87 is going to get his touches, but it could be Kadarius Toney. It could be, any of these guys. Jerick McKinnon, you're right. It could be any of them. And I think the fact that organically this offense spreads the ball naturally, I think that is what they know they're going to need in order to go up against a team like Cincy that changes up game plans on you and changes up looks on you ad nauseum every other series.
It's just wild to see Kansas City once again on that home field.
Yeah.
Such a small favorite. And I think Cincinnati has earned that respect. It'll be harder for the Bengals to play the disrespect card because a lot of people,
for sure,
they buy them and they ought to. As for the Bills, this is a team that was going to try to take the big step forward this year, and it ends here. Josh Allen on the challenge of trailing Cincinnati from the start.
Playing from behind is never fun, but we had our opportunity to make it a one-score game before half, and didn't take advantage of that. Didn't score a touchdown, that first drive in the second half. We only got 3. And against teams like this, with a quarterback like that, you're gonna have to score 6 and 7. So we didn't do a good enough job of that tonight.
You work your tail off all season long. You work in the off season every day as hard as you can to be the best that you can. And there's only one team, and we wanted it to be our team, and that's what hurts the most. And when you don't perform up to your expectations internally, that hurts.
Our goal is to win a Super Bowl, a world championship, and we didn't accomplish that. So everything that happened this season is kind of null and void in our minds, and it sucks.
I'll never forget Sean McDermott and what he did in leading his team on that Monday night game against Cincinnati and what he demonstrated as a human being. And that's separate from this because they did have goals and they fell short of them. But I think a lot of people, if they didn't have a team or if their team was out, probably was rooting for the Bills, right? Because of that. And everybody will continue to keep DeMar Hamlin in their thoughts. As for this Bills season, which ends at home against the Bengals, when they try to process what it was and they try to figure out taking that step, because it's hard to win in this league.
Yep.
Where are they in the process of trying to become what they hope to be?
I think you put it perfectly, taking that step. And the reason why I say you put it perfectly is this. Brandon Beane told us back early in the beginning of the season that in order to take that step, they felt that they needed one specific piece, and that was Von Miller. They needed him for games like this. Yep. Games like if they win this game that were coming up next week. They needed a guy who could put these franchise quarterbacks on the ground when they needed them on the ground. And once he left the fold, the pass rush disappeared, Scott. It absolutely disappeared. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board again as far as trying to get over the hump in that regard. Obviously, there were injuries on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary. Down the stretch over the past 5 weeks, Josh Allen didn't play some of his best football. Unsure with some of his reads, kind of second-guessing himself a little bit, turning over the football uncharacteristically. So it's a kind of a, it's a bunch of different things that led to them ultimately falling short. But I do believe that because of the fact that they really had identified that one piece, the missing piece, having that closer that could deal with these quarterbacks, and then they wound up being one of the poorest pass rushing teams overall in terms of pass rush win rate individually. They didn't have a guy, Scott, over the past 5 weeks that ranked in the top 40 in pass rush win rate without Von Miller. You can't win in the AFC in particular without having that guy.
And I would think that as they address that, the harsh thing to figure out is that the guy that plays quarterback for Cincinnati ain't going anywhere.
Right.
The guy that plays quarterback in Kansas City ain't going anywhere. So, I mean, look, it's hard to win in the National Football League, as you know better than I.
Yeah.
Been great to have you here these past couple weeks. Been like old times,
Absolutely.
man. Always appreciate you, Louis Riddick.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
The best. All right, as we continue, the Niners.